Hi there, my name is Robert, and on our group, CNC for Beginners, I had some questions about how I was making my LED backlit signs. This is not going to be a professional level thing, but I thought I would share how I did it. I use Aspire to do my drawings. This is my second CNC machine. It's a Shapeoko XXL, and I am super happy with it after having it running now since midnight last night. It's now noon, so I've had it running for 12 hours and I'm super happy with it. So let me tell you about making these LED backlit trophies that I'm making. That's the design I'm going to do right now. Okay, you can see a box around it, 4 little dots here, there, or 5 or so. Okay, I'll explain what those are. There's a let me get the mouse up here. There's a box around it. There's the trophy outline. There's the lines. There's the words. Okay. Now, what I did, I had to make a full dozen of these over the course of the year, one a month for this pinball tournament that I run. So not knowing how to cut this is going to be my 10th one. Not knowing how to really do it, what I did was I ordered a case of trophies in this shape from China. Shipping on it was like 70 bucks. Got here in a couple weeks. Okay, each one comes with a base, USB cable, a remote. Okay, the base changes colors, has 7 or 9 LEDs in it, and it comes with the trophy already cut to shape. Now, one of the first things I learned, and the reason I have to do the little drawing, is that the trophy itself is not symmetrically cut. That's the right way. If I flip it over the other way, the left side is low and the right side is high. It doesn't, or vice versa. It doesn't line up the same when you flip it over. So one of the first things I learned is that these things are not symmetrical. This right side sticks out farther than the left side, and I actually had some things. If you look at it there, you can really see how it's not symmetrical. So one of the first waste ones I had, I did it the wrong way, and everything looked terrible and out of alignment, and some of it ran off the edge, and it was horrible. So this is my design right here. See if I can make it zoom. Normally use a mouse, but I don't have the mouse down here right now. This is in my basement. Okay, that was interesting. Okay, I think if I hit this, it centers it again. Alright, well, there's the design. Now, in Aspire, you go over here and you make your tool paths for what you want it to do. I'm going to click this so it stays open. Okay, and I already have the tool made. Quick letters. Okay, that's going to be those letters. Monster, this is a pin monster. That's those lines. And there's the trophy outline. Now those holes, those circles I made right there, I will also sometimes export that, set my Z up a little bit extra high, and then run it through a drill program and watch and make sure that this was with my old machine. I had to do this because it didn't zero right all the time. It was awful. But that will actually tell the machine to just kind of touch each of those points for me. And I set it at call that the edge test. Okay, and that's set at 0.00. I don't want it to actually touch anything, so I set the Z up a little high till it's an end mill. It doesn't matter, and it runs through that program, and it tells me that I've actually got the thing laying down correctly. Now, I did one of these last night. I'm not going to have to do that. I'm putting it in exactly the same place, because what I did is on my wasteboard, I actually cut that rectangle, and I cut the outline of the see that line right there? That's the outline of the trophy. So I line that up ahead of time, and now I know when I zero to the corner, everything's all going to be lined up in that workspace. So that's kind of my beginner, make sure I do everything right thing that I do. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this. Now, the quick letters, that's actually this toolpath, quick engraving toolpath, and it is set to 0.02 inches, fill 0.15 inches step over. Now I'm actually going to export this in millimeters, so it'll do all that conversion and stuff for me. The bit I'm using, you have to tell it what bit you're going to use, and if you go to select in this program, come over here and you got all these bits to choose from, and down here in engraving is the diamond drag 90 degree, and I actually had to import and make that, and I don't have time to tell you how to do that right now. So I'm going to cancel that because that's already what I want. I'm actually not, and then what you would do is you hit calculate, and it would calculate that toolpath for those things that are pink right there. Okay, don't need to do that right now because I've already done it. Then the monster toolpath is the same tool, same depth, 0.02 inches, but it's an outline. So it's just going to draw the outline of those things. And when I did this, boy, it's really hard to do this with a mouse. To do the lines there, I actually copied this top line and notched it down and moved it down, and then made all those lines by hand. Same thing with the eyeball up here. Okay, so those are not a fill, those are actually individual lines that I drew for this area, and that area. Okay, and so I made that quick engrave, outline, and went ahead and named the layer monster and all that, calculated it, and then the trophy outline, I always leave the trophy outline on there because that helps me make sure that the work area is defined the way I want it to, because it doesn't I also work on vinyl records and do other stuff, so it doesn't export your entire work area. It only exports the work area of what you are working on. So I make sure I do the trophy outline so that it has the work area that I want. Okay, so when you're ready to export your toolpaths and send them to the machine, in this program you go to the Save Toolpath, you click that, you then look at the toolpaths that you want, and let's close this here. Okay, so I have quick letters, monster, and trophy outline. Now this also does it in the order that you have them listed here. If I wanted to do the trophy outline first, I would move it up to the top, but I'm actually not even going to run that. I'm going to stop the program when it finishes with the monster, and then the trophy outline itself is just there, so that I stop the program at that point and don't run that. It doesn't necessarily hurt to run it because I have it set so it just barely even touches the surface of the thing, but I don't actually want that to run, so I have to be here to shut it off when it gets to the monster. Okay, so I've selected those three things. I go to Save Toolpath. It's going to tell me the three toolpaths I want, and they all have to be the same tool. I want to output all of them to one file. Okay, and then I would hit Gerbil millimeter G code for this machine. You would do whatever you need for your particular machine. Save toolpaths, and then it's going to put it in a place, and I've got it here as the October Stonehenge Trophy, which is what this trophy is titled. Okay, and then you would hit save. Now don't need to do that because I already did that and it's all ready to go for me. So then you go to your Carbide Motion for the Carbide 3D, not Carbide, for the Shapeoko. All right, I'm going to clear off my workspace here. Now I'm doing this for rank beginners who have even less experience than me, which has got to be a pretty good beginner, but people have been asking some pretty pointed questions, and I thought it might be helpful to share what I have learned over the last 10 months of fighting with an inferior machine, and now I have this wonderful machine that just does everything the way I want it to do. So I have to turn on the machine, and it will react over there when I did it. It made a little clunk and says, okay, it's happy. Okay, and I'm running a Mac, and I have Parallels going, and I want it to connect to the Mac. I don't want it to connect to the Windows. Okay, so then I connect to the cutter. Okay, it found it. Now, I'm going to, just for fun, go to the jog program. Okay, I have to initialize the machine. It's not just for fun. And it's going to go through the homing cycle. So it's over there. It already moved up to the Z-axis. And it's homing. It's reminding itself where 0, 0, 0 is. And that's an important part of the process. Then I can go to rapid positioning. And this is northwest, north, northeast. This is coordinates on the full-size board. So when I push this button right here, the machine's going to just come right over to me. That plexiglass that's hanging down there is for the socket, which we don't need for this particular process. So it brought it over here to me, and you can see that I have the diamond drag bit already installed. And it's right here, and it's still got the dust on it from last night, so that's just very loose dust that's on there from last night. Okay, just wipe that right off. And this is spring loaded. You can see it spring loaded, moves in and out, so you don't have to have your zero and everything perfect. It works on uneven surfaces, and it keeps a constant pressure based on the spring loading that it does it. Now, I'm going to manually zero the machine now. Okay, actually, I can tell it to go to the current offset of XY, and it's going to go over to where I had it zeroed last, which should be the corner of right there on the corner, which is right. Take my thumbnail and push in the tape, and that's way down here actually. Sorry. Like I said, this is for beginners. There, right there is the corner of that box that I have etched into my wasteboard. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and go to current offset of Z, and it should just go right down there, and it says plus 6 millimeters, so it's going to stop 6 millimeters above where I had that X there before. Okay, now I'm going to get off of the rapid positioning thing and go to the regular positioning, and for the Shapeoko program that's here, you can go 0.1 millimeters, 1 millimeter, or fast, which with fast, what it does is it just moves as long as you hold the button down. You got to be careful with that because you don't want to cram anything into anything else. So I'm going to get down back there close again. I'm confirming now that it doesn't look like it came back to exactly the same spot. So I'm going to change my increments here to 0.1 millimeters. And I actually drew on my wasteboard, since I'm still new at this, Y minus is this direction, X minus is that way, X plus, Y plus is that way, until I get used to this particular machine. So I'm going to hit the X plus button right here. Every time I tap it, it's going to move 0.1 millimeter. So we're going to go 0.1. It doesn't even, you can't even tell it's moving. It's going to move so small. And tap, 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 tap. Okay. Now I've built into my design kind of a margin for error on these trophies. They don't have to be perfect because nobody's ever going to. I'm going to Z minus, and I'm going to go down and make sure, and I'm going to actually touch that. Now, that Z, my Z0 is actually not this point. Okay, so see, I'm right down there nestling into that corner. So I'm happy with that corner. Now I'm going to go back to Z plus. I'm actually going to go back to a full millimeter at a time so I don't spend all day tapping. And I'm going to send it back up again. Okay, so that is X and Y0. All right. I'm going to go to fast now, and I'm going to move back over here. I want to show you. Okay, I'm going to move back over, and where I actually zeroed my Z0, that's hard to say, is over here. Okay, so when I hit the Z minus, now I'm going to go back to rapid positioning again, and I want it to go to the current offset of Z plus 6 millimeters. Okay, and that's actually where it is. So when I go back to this again, increment plus, minus, excuse me, 1 millimeter, I should be able to tap it 6 times, and it should come down and actually touch. I'm going to zoom it 1, 2, 3. Well, that's moving fast. This is why you confirm it each time you do it. I want it to just touch. There, it's just touching. Okay, now because I have this spring-loaded thing going on here, I want a little bit of room to grow on. So I'm going back to 0.1 millimeter again, and I'm going to Z minus it 1, 2 more times. Okay, now when I go back to rapid position again, well, it's actually going to tell me that I'm at X 100 millimeters, 100.1 millimeters, Y 22.25 millimeters, and Z 1.18 millimeters. So I'm actually still above where I had it set last night. So if I go back to 1 millimeter, hit Z minus again. Okay, now it says 0.8. I'll go ahead and hit Z minus again. Now it says minus 0.2. I'll change my increment to 0.1. Z plus, plus. Now it's exactly where I had it zeroed for the one that I made last night. And that's actually deeper than where I had it last night. I don't want it that deep. So I am going to go back up to 2 again. And I'm going to look really close. Yep, that's definitely touching over on that side. Now, I haven't finished my wasteboard or anything yet. I need to get these trophies done. So I needed to just go in and do it. So last night, this side was a little higher than this side, and so I zeroed it over here on everything that I did. So I think I've got a low spot in my board on this point right here. So that's why I'm zeroing it way out here for the Z0. Now I'm just gonna go. So it's actually zeroed. It's at 0.2 now. Okay, I'm gonna hit set 0 here, and I'm only gonna set the 0 Z. Now that's the new 0 point for Z, but the XY 0 is still over here to the left at the corner of the thing. So when I hit done, go back to fast, I Z up. When I go to rapid positioning and I go to current offset XY, it's going to take it over to that 0 point. Current offset Z plus 6 millimeters is going to take it down to there. Now see, that 0 point is actually way above the surface, but it's in the corner where I want it. So the machine now knows that the flat plane is there, the top of the Lexan or acrylic, and the XY0 is over here. I know that was a long explanation, but it sure would have helped me if someone had explained all that junk to me when I started. So now we'll go back over here. We'll get out of the rapid positioning. Okay, now an interesting thing to know about it is that at this point, it seriously, now that I've set those points, it seriously doesn't matter where the machine is when you start the program. So I'm going to load a new file. I'm going to go over here to desktop. Okay, I don't want you guys to see what's on my desktop, so I'm going to hide something I'm not going to look at it for a minute. Okay, yeah, there's nothing there. It's personal information. So I'm going to double click, the October Stonehenge. Okay, and it's going to tell me that it's good. That's how big the file, how many millimeters it overall covers. All right, so the next thing, all I have to do next is go to the run. All right, and I didn't talk about feed rates or any of that kind of stuff in this. This is just the process of making the thing. And then I'm going to hit start. Now, as you can see, it's just out there in the middle of everything. I'm not going to show you clicking start. I'm going to show you what happens when I do it over here. Now, the spindle doesn't have to spin because this is a pressure and a drag. You're scratching a diamond across the surface is what's going on with this 90-degree diamond drag bit. You're dragging a piece of diamond across the surface. There's no spinning. It's nice and quiet. Not a lot of dust gets kicked up. And now I'm going to click start, and this is what happens. Okay, it went down a little bit. It's going to go over there, and now it's going to go to the beginning of the file, and we're going to watch it do it in real time. Feel free to fast forward. I'll talk about anything I think of. Okay, the one that I made last night, I wasn't entirely happy. I had the offset set at 0.2 instead of, 0.02 instead of 0.015. And these smaller letters down here didn't really have a good etching in the center of them. I should get that out and show it to you, but I'm probably not. But now you can see that it's actually filling it in. What it did was it made an outline, and every once in a while it stuck another line in the center of it. So I figured about a 25% change in the line spacing would not make it too close, and it would make these smaller letters go. The larger letters looked pretty good. There were a couple of gaps that I didn't like in that, so the 0.15 I did for both the large and the small letters. As you can see, it's printing backwards because when I mount the when you mount the edge-lit acrylic onto a base and you have the stuff on the back, they can't tell, but when they touch the front of it, it's nice and smooth. So all of the scratching goes on the back side. So when you do it, you take everything and you flip it over, flip horizontal to make it be the shape. So what we've printed so far is Stonehenge, and now the date that the tournament is well, that says 012. Why does that say 012? It should say 1012. Did I leave the 1 off the file? That would be dumb. Let's see. Nope, it's got a 1 on the file. So it's supposed to say 10/12/2018, and so it says 012. So I guess, hopefully, it's going to go back and do that 1 later. That would be something that the machine decided to do for some reason. Okay. I love these edge LED signs, and I'm going to be designing lots and lots more, and I've got all kinds of ideas. Now it's going back and doing the 1. See, that? Don't panic if it does weird stuff like that. I have panicked before and stopped the thing. Okay, now it's going to go out, and the name of my tournament series is the Pinball Wizard 2018 Championship. So the top of the trophy here is going to say Pinball Wizard, and like I mentioned before, the 0.02, step for the fill, I didn't think was completely wonderful. So we're doing a little bit of a tighter thing for. Oh, another thing is make sure that you don't notice how very small on the edge the tape is, because the tape actually will interfere with the diamond bit successfully scratching into the surface. It hits the tape, it messes things up. And I thought it would go through, but it doesn't go through very well. I learned that the hard way too. So we're doing 0.015 offset to make the letters this precise. Okay. And what was I saying? Pinball Wizard 2018. I don't do a scanned image and then have it trace the vectors for me. I've always found that to be way too sloppy, so I actually hand draw everything in the program itself. You can import when you import a bitmap, it goes onto the bitmap layer. Okay, right there. Okay, and I click on it. You can see that's a drawing that's there. And what I do is I use the drawing tools that are in the machine, in the program, to actually trace over the drawing that the artist Ken Scott. Special props to Ken Scott for these hilarious drawings that he does for us. I have to trace over them again. I'm getting better and better at it every month. I said I've done 11 of them now. This is number 10, and then well, this is number 9, and this is number 9. Number 10's already been done too. That's the one I'm going to do after this. But there's ways to trace it, but I think they look too sloppy. They have all kinds of rogue points in them. So I draw everything by hand in the program itself. Just my perfectionism being exhibited. I don't like sloppy work, so it's way more precise if you draw each vector yourself. And you just have to learn the program. You have to learn how to control curves. It's got some really good, whatever program you're using, you need to learn it and make the curves yourself, and not try to just be sloppy and use the filters and the stuff, in my opinion. Okay, we are up to 2001-8. Okay, at this point, it doesn't take very long at all to draw the pin monster, so I'm going to make sure that I have my mouse. And I usually, when I'm running something, I have the mouse hovering over pause, and I have a trackball mouse that's wireless that I keep in my hand, and I will use that as a safety switch. Keep with this, really not needing it. Okay, now it's drawing the bowling pin. Stonehenge is a bowling alley that has pinball machines, and some of the best pinball players in the world play there. So we did a bowling theme for the trophy for this tournament. Every tournament has its own individual custom-made and designed trophy. So I drew each one of those lines individually, copied and pasted, moved it down, and then just incised them. It's not doing a fill right now. It's actually tracing an individual line one at a time. Frankly, because I couldn't figure out how to make a fill between those two curves. There's probably a way to do it, but this way works just fine. Okay. So now it's drawing the eye, which what I did to make that is I took the first circle, and then I offset it a little bit to one side, offset it again, copy paste, offset, copy paste, offset, copy paste, offset, and then I deleted the lines that were outside the circle, so it made the eye look like it was looking off to the side like that. Alright, so now it must be working on the mouth. I wish I could say I'm learning how to draw by tracing Ken's drawings, but Ken's way too creative and too good for me. I'm doing good to trace what he does. You can see that the tip is starting to build up a little bit with that white plastic, but that's a very soft powder I found out. It doesn't need to be cleaned off or anything. It's not interfering in any way. I had sometimes when you're cutting with a spinning bit, the plastic will melt, stick to the bit, and then start scratching the acrylic around the cut that you're making. You do need to stop and clean that stuff off, but this stuff doesn't seem to need to be cleaned off. Okay, I am not set up to, well, Excuse me, I actually do have a base I can set this on so you can see it lit up when I get it finished. It's not the base that came with it, it's a different base with a different... okay, it's almost done. I'm getting ready to hit pause. It's going to come over here to this corner over here and start drawing the outline of the trophy that I have in there for my workspace. And as soon as it starts moving that way, I'm going to hit pause. The machine will go up in the air and go to a parking position, and I'll hit stop, and then it will home itself, and we will be done. So it's working on the mouth now. I am so much happier with this than the other machine that I had. The other machine that I had cost about $900. It was a home kit that you build out of wood. This is a home kit that you build out of metal. And I am so much more confident. I actually have an appointment that I have to leave for in 15 minutes, and I never would have even imagined attempting to make this trophy on the other machine in the amount of time that I've been doing this. This video is 31 minutes long right now, and that's partially because of the time I've spent explaining every step instead of just doing it. There it goes over, I hit pause. Okay, it's pulling away, and then it's going to sit and park itself. And if I hit resume, it would go back down again. So that was my safety. It's completely done, and it was going to start drawing the outline. So I hit that right there. Now when I hit stop, the machine is going to, I think, home itself. Go home, put itself away. Nice and calm. All right, so now I can just take, now there we have it all done. Okay, I'll just pull up the tape. You need to not leave the tape on. The tape will some tapes will etch a residue into the acrylic. I actually found that painter's tape did etch into the acrylic and cause a real hard time getting off. There's a little bit of residue left there, but it didn't etch it. This is just tape from Home Depot that I bought, dozen rolls of it or so. I used the tape and super glue method to hold my wood down. So this piece of wood is taped down, but this spoil board is actually two layers of tape and super glued together, so that I can pull it off and move it when I want to. And I only did part of it because sometimes I may want to do a thicker wood. This is a build-up so that I can do this stuff. So now I'm going to take, this is the finished product. Here it still has its protective tape on this side, so it makes it look a little bit diffused. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to set this down and brush off the residue. So I just have a moderately soft brush like you get with a cheap dustpan brush, and that helps clean off the little bit of residue there and break any free that's actually stuck to the etching. So now we get a little short tour of my basement. I have to duck. And we'll come over here.